dit peut-être la Mince Rocket. Welter qui rend les règles, a pris le kill sur Z. Welter qui prend les
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everybody here. Worlds tonight. We're doing it from LA today because they're packing up in Paris to move everything to London for the quarterfinals. And what a 2 weeks it has been, gentlemen. You know, if I just want to reflect on the 2 weeks, expectations that came in, expectations that were and were not met, kind of the insanity that ensued during the first week of groups, and then how it unfolded into week 2.
The only thing that held as an expectation was that SKT was going to kick some ass. That was the only thing that we knew would happen, and it did.
Yeah, exactly right. That is the one group I think everyone got right. Every other group is just all over the shop. Maybe today AHQ rescued some people's pick'ems, but everything else was just such a good mix of League of Legends, with some teams playing well across the first week, and then the day when that all came together, teams just were playing out of their mind.
Yeah, we talked about the pick'em statistics, 52 correct at this point, just coming out of group stages. That's not even counting how many people will or won't get it right when we move on to the bracket stages. But again, so many surprises coming into the tournament. Cloud9 starting 3-0, Origin starting 3-0, and then the likes of LGD starting 0-3. I mean, that to me was what was so astonishing when you don't see teams play for 4 weeks at a time. And really, when they come in, they're showing everything they've got in terms of innovation, in terms of consistency, and really watching it all unfold. I feel that we've arrived at the true best 8 teams in terms of mixing all of those skills.
Yeah, and my biggest surprise was actually a player, NL, someone that had been on the bench. They brought him in for the finals at for the LMS, and you know, he wasn't really doing that much of a great thing. Then they started Kramer again, and it was like, well, they still don't have faith in this guy. And then Neverlose comes into the starting lineup and completely rocks the group stage for Flash Wolves. That must be the best experience of your life, coming in as a sub and then making that. You know, we talk about the Easy Hoon, we talk about bringing Flame in, but the super sub of the whole thing was NL in the AD carry position.
What really shocked me, though, was all the interviews in that 1 month span that we had with all the really solid agencies. Like, man, TSM, Fnatic, these guys are going to kick some ass. Like, the North American teams, you got to watch out. NA's coming. Like,
CLG's looking good.
Yeah, I was like, wait, really? I got part of this region. They're going to do well. And then, like, I feel like they were just building it all up so they could just tumble us down even harder.
Yeah, absolutely. All fell apart for NA. 0-10 in week 2, not picking up a single win there. That's absolutely devastating as a region. The flip side of that, though, is the LMS, who completely showed up. You already touched on, you know, Flash Wolves, but AHQ as well. The two of those teams really showing up for their region in the second week, propelling Flash Wolves to seed 1, AHQ to seed 2. And I have a feeling they're going to, you know, perform even better next week with a little bit more time under their belts.
And I just love the story of the LMS region, right? You know, the split that came through with the GPL, then finally making good tracks at Worlds last year, making even better tracks at MSI where AHQ were on a tear. Now to this stage where, like, they're just legitimate contenders, 100%. One of them went through in a group with a Korean team as the first seed by taking them out a couple of times. Like, Flash Wolves is overall
Hold on,
team.
legitimate contenders against SKT. I'm not so sure about making it out of that one.
Who else is going to be? Like, this is my question to you. SKT is clearly the first team. Can you say that AHQ and Flash Wolves are that far behind the rest of the teams in this race right now?
Behind SKT?
On that side of the bracket, you have SKT, AHQ, Origin, and Flash Wolves.
AHQ is second best team.
We'll debate this later. We'll debate this later. We only have so much time. Other things I want to hit on, though, with this tournament so far is the amount of champion diversity that we've seen. We've had 69 unique champions so far just in group stages. So we've surpassed the halfway point of total champions in League of Legends, the 69th being Twitch in that tiebreaker game. But it's just been an extraordinary amount of champions that have come in, but I'm curious to see how that funnels, you know, because we're watching a new meta develop.
I think we blame a lot of it on the new patch, but the 5.18 patch didn't really change a whole lot of things. I just think it has to do with League being played professionally for so long that all these teams are really understanding how the game works and how you can make everything viable as long as you know how to make it work, what composition it fits in. I mean, couple of weeks before the tournament, we were saying, oh, Tahm Kench isn't even a good champion. When he was released, this is never going to work. It makes no sense. Now he's being almost permabanned. He's an amazing pick as a support. We might even see him as a jungler. There's so much more to be shown, and I'm sure that these teams have even more things prepared because all these new picks are honestly delivering wins.
And the meta clash with the new picks has been what has done it for me, because it's no longer a meta where, like, in the LPL, you're like, AD carry is king. We have Uzi, we have Imp, we have Deft. Like, in Korea, it's like the top laners get so much farm. Like, LMS, Maple is getting so much. And, like, every single one of these strategies is now successfully working on Summoner's Rift. You can even play carry junglers. Like, Kakao and Kasa have shown in very limited sample sizes that carry junglers are still a legitimate way to play League of Legends. So you can play anywhere, anytime, and as long as you bring your A game, you're going to win the game.
Yeah, the teams have had so much time to play that rock, paper, scissors of champions in League of Legends, and they've come up with some really interesting things. We've seen teams like SKT play Ryze and no one else yet. We'll see if Janna comes back. Tahm Kench is probably going to be a
brand
big
support.
Pick. Brand support, right?
Let's not go
or
down.
maybe not, right? But there's been some really cool, certain teams have played one champion and no one else has touched them yet. We'll see if they make reappearances. However, on the topic of reminiscing, we asked our audience today what some of their favorite moments from group stages were. I thought it'd be fun if we do the same. So I'm going to start us off. Here's mine.
I think that EDG right now are just playing phenomenally. I'm going with Invictus Gaming. I think the LGD game was an outlier.
I'm going to give LGD one last shot. Origin will continue to ride this momentum and hype train and will continue to do great things. I would like to point out to everyone at home that I was very sick coming in to last week. Very, very sick. I guessed it. Imp, the world champion, finally returning.
And it's only fitting that we have the prophet sitting next to the anti-prophet
Yeah.
for this.
I now understand why I was invited onto the show.
Yeah,
Thank you
that was
very
it.
much.
It was a last-minute addition. We're like, we got to get Spawn only for the humiliation factor of it all. All right, Crumbs, you're up. Give it to
That's
us.
such a good laugh. Mine was, of course, yesterday, Group D's, KT with the crazy save of Arrow's Mordekaiser. I mean, this is a play. I'd never even seen this thing before. Amazing. Who has the thought process, like, I'm going to hook him out of the lantern? Nobody, I've never seen that before.
The communication as well, right? Because
Yeah.
you, as a support, can say, okay, I'm going to hook him off, but I also have to communicate to my AD carry that I'm going to do that so he can then flash, grab the lantern. And we've talked about the ingenuity around lanterns a little bit this tournament so far, with people throwing wards on top of them, making them exceedingly hard to click on. So watching people find new and inventive ways to work around that is
The crazy
just
thing is,
astonishing.
that's actually a play that even has some counterplay. Alistar could immediately, okay, I'm going to ultimate out of this because I know he's trying to pull me out, but he's never even seen that play before. It's just something brand new offered to the table. And for somebody that's been playing the game for 5 years and first time seeing something, it's very refreshing.
And better than that, it was against LGD.
I
So,
don't think-
we just hit the trifecta.
Let's hammer it home on Spawn. All right, Spawn, you're up. Favorite moment.
I'm all about unbenching the Tahm Kench right now. And when you saw this play, taking an AD carry into the middle of a team fight.
This is a troll move in
That's
solo
the
queue. This
perfect
is what
bait.
you do in solo queue to get reported
Listen,
and
man.
banned.
They did this to North America. This is basically a wild card right now. There is a really, it's a little painful at that point, just seeing that.
I like what you pointed out because, I played with Yamato. This is what I was doing with him. You can't eat people out of recall, but you can definitely take them into a Viger. But to do it in such a great way, that just shows how good Ku is at reading plays and being able to set it up like that.
Yeah, essentially seeing a solo queue troll turn into an effective team technique is really crazy. And again, one of the reasons why I think Tahm Kench is going to be continue to work his way up the ladder in terms of priority. Next up, I want to look at our quarterfinals. We've done some reflection on the group stages, but we also have to look ahead at the quarterfinals and the group draw, or in the bracket draw that we just saw. If we start top to bottom, we've got the Ku Tigers against KT. We hit on it a little bit earlier. This was a series that we saw played out in Korea that went to 5 and was won in a blind pick by KT. Well, there isn't blind pick in these best of fives, and both of these teams are looking pretty strong coming out of the group stages.
Yeah, they certainly are, and both these teams have monsters in the top lane. Like, I'm talking people that will take any top laner in the world right now, apart from maybe Myron, and completely destroy them. And Someday versus Smeb, The Rock versus the Riven. This is like, you could not set up a better storyline for this game. It's going to be so fun to watch.
I have a feeling that the Korean teams are really expecting to make it out of groups, all of them, so that they probably saved some things to play against each other because, you know, they scrim each other more than anybody else. So they have to save something just for that off scenario that they have to actually play in them games that matter against each other. So I think we're going to see even newer and crazier things coming out of these guys.
Yeah, collectively, they were 15-3 in the group stages. So again, you know, as much as we have a diverse, you know, set of teams coming out of group stages, that scoreline there speaks to the dominance of that region still and how hard the rest of these teams are going to have to fight in order to take down one of the Korean Titans.
Yeah, the one game that gave you hope, though, was watching Origin beat a Korean team around the map and being able to out-rotate one. Before that, you were like, they're mechanically superior, they play the map better, their matchups are fantastic, their pick ban phase has been great. You saw that game and you're like, there is a slither of hope that someone can replicate that and do the same thing.
I want to fire through the rest of the bracket stages. You know, next up we had Fnatic versus EDG. We got to see these teams play at MSI. This is a big one. EDG, you know, it's really tough to assess their power level because they got beaten by SKT in groups and then had a pretty easy time beating up on the other two teams in their group. So I'm not really sure where they're at.
I'll do the power level assessment for you. This team won MSI. This team lost one best of 5 all year. This team is friggin' amazing.
This team almost lost to the Bangkok Titans.
I don't want to hear it. A best
With
of
the
one.
predictions you've been throwing around, I don't know how much weight I can put on you.
AHQ with 10,000 gold ahead against SKT in a best of one at MSI, my friend, still did not mean anything. EDG is a class outfit, and anyone that thinks that that is going to be a one-sided, that game will be fantastic. We saw the prequel of it at MSI. This is going to be the finale, and it's going to be great.
I agree with what Jad and Monte Cristo were saying, that this could possibly be the best quarterfinal. So all kidding aside, I do think both of these teams are really strong. A lot of it's going to come down to which of these teams shows up. We've seen Fnatic when Huni's not playing well. We've seen EDG when they struggled against the Bangkok Titans and couldn't get their early game together. I want to hop down to the other side of the bracket because we only have so much time. You know, first up, we have Origin versus the Flash Wolves. We hit on it briefly as well earlier, that I feel like this is going to be a very close matchup. The Flash Wolves have been surging. Origin looked to be faltering a bit at the end of their group stages.
The strength of Origin really stood out to be that best of one. Like, they really prepared, but once the opponent got a read on them, it became a lot harder, particularly Soaz, you know, was a little bit tilted on those later games, and the drafts just weren't as crisp as they were before. You know, the Flash Wolves have been praised for having awesome drafts every single game, winning games just straight off on that, on top of exceptional play, closing out some games very quickly in a very impressive fashion. So this is going to be a lot closer.
Yeah, it certainly is, and Amazing is going to be tested so hard. I feel that you don't play against junglers like Karsa very often. They've fallen back into that supportive role, and this guy just refuses to play that way. So I'm really interested to see how that jungle matchup goes.
Karsa had some serious highlights during the tournament. Last matchup, AHQ versus SKT. I mean, this is not the team you want to be drawn against, especially after having to go to a tiebreaker just to get out of groups. So all odds are stacked against AHQ here, I think.
Yeah, it's about whether AHQ can degrade the game, right? If they can get that scrappy teamfight play that they love. The danger is EDG tried that and SKT whooped their butt. So there's always a hope, but how much do you give AHQ in this final? I don't know.
Not really.
not really.
not personally.
Crumbs
Just
ever the
SKT.
pessimist or the realist, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, regardless, these groups have been insane. The games, the fans in Paris. Let's talk about that too. And I hope and believe that the bracket stages will be just as exciting. That's going to do it for us here, and we'll see the rest of you at quarters.
Here we go into the game, everybody. Taking to the rift.
Gonna be a lot of damage to tie. He wants it. The ult comes down, but it's not enough. Oh, flashes forward. Is the Bastion gonna know what it is? It's AHQ. They're on the fountain. The Nexus is exposed to tie all the way in the back of his fountain, but still not safe. It's AHQ even out the matchup. Knockbacks, but look at all of the AoE action as Balls trying to get something done. High locks down the first one, but it's already a double kill. Fnatic looking so much better.
Alright, you gotta keep doing it.
There's the death sentence on Lemon Nation, and it's all falling apart. Destiny comes down, Incarnation melting at the hands of AHQ. What a stunning performance from this Garena side.
Reckless goes down, Zatai gets a bunch back, but Hootie, the double, the triple kill, the quadra kill for Hootie. Holy crap.
Gets caught and apprehended backwards. Fades back to time. But that's it. Incarnation.
Bazonius buys time, and Kitties again is the man engaging the fight. Sneaking last man alive. He's going to go down.
Invictus Gaming pick up a win.
Holy crap, he stole it. But the fight continues. Sam zones him out. Reckless running and running away. And Fnatic take the first seed.
We're going to find out who is going to be the 8th and final team in the quarterfinals.
250 HP. Rat-a-tat tat and Albus is.
Holy
Two-man knockup.
Tail and a slicing Maelstrom tags a couple members. Elimination Black shields himself. Holy cow, a big engage. And AHQ will be the final team out of Group B.